Hi guys, I know that I do a lot of self-hating on this channel, and so I thought, how about I make another video and do more of that? I just have a lot of negative things that I could say about my past self, and I think it's fun to do so. Could I point out positive things? Absolutely. And you guys don't need to be commenting on the video talking about, oh, don't hate on yourself, like, it's fine. I genuinely thought I was the most amazing person my entire life. And I'm not exaggerating. I know that sounds dramatic, but I thought I was more talented, more attractive, had better fashion sense, more money, more sense, more morals than anybody. Like, I would drive down the road and I would think that everybody was looking at me, like in my car. I still kind of think that sometimes, but like, I thought I was the main character, down to so many little details. The first one and the biggest one being my talent, my singing. And I know this is weird because like, it's embarrassing to admit, but I don't care. I don't even feel embarrassed. I just hope that you guys don't judge me for this. I think I'm a good singer. Like nowadays, I really do. But I only started realizing this recently, so it's even more embarrassing to admit this. I am not like the most amazing singer. Like, you know how people are like, my toxic trait is thinking that I blank. My toxic trait forever was thinking that I could sing anything that like incredible singers could sing. Like Ariana Grande, Christina Aguilera, Mariah Carey. Like I genuinely thought that I had the same level of talent as them. And like another thing, I thought that I was more attractive. Like I thought that I could be a model. I thought I was the prettiest person in the world. I thought that like people who got plastic surgery were idiots because they like are all ugly or something. I used to judge girls like so hard for the way that they looked. And like you would think it's like, oh, out of your own insecurity, right? Like you're putting other girls down because you secretly think you're ugly. No, I didn't think I was secretly ugly. Only nowadays am I starting to be like, I'm gaining weight. My body isn't looking the same as when I was a teenager. Like I'm really not like as pretty as I thought I was. And then you want to talk about morals and like having your life together. Because I had an alternative career path at a very young age, me as a 13-year-old would judge people who had like office jobs and like people who had a normal life. I thought that they were like missing out. I remember, and this is such a weird thing to think about, but I remember I would literally look at the world, like the outer world, and I would lump in like normal people, and then I and like my whole family would be like the not normal people. So like everybody else who's normal has like all these emotional problems, doesn't know how to be in a relationship. It went really deep, guys. I know this sounds weird, but like it went really deep. They had a boring life that they hated forever. They didn't have good relationships with their siblings. Like everybody hates their siblings. Like nobody gets along with them actually. I'm like realizing a lot of this as I'm speaking, but I just thought that everybody's life was really messed up and mine wasn't. And then like in friendships, I made tons of friends, like so many friends in my life. And I lost every single one of my friends. And I've talked about this in a lot of my videos. But the older that I get, the more that I'm looking back and realizing that I thought that it was their fault. Like my entire life, I thought that all my friendships ending was because everybody else in the world is so flawed and I'm not. Am I a narcissist? I'm like realizing this all at once. I thought that I had no flaws and that people were just like trying to mess with me or something. But as I look back on it, I'm realizing that I was very narcissistic in certain ways. I wasn't a very good friend. I definitely judged people. I definitely was annoying. I could definitely be annoying at times. And so, yeah, I was a nice person and I didn't deserve for people to like fuck me over like they did, but I definitely wasn't perfect. And something that I'm learning in this whole journey of realizing that I thought I was so much cooler than I actually was, is that I never looked inward at myself. I always projected all of my flaws onto other people and thought that if something didn't work out, it's because of them. And for some reason, I thought that I was not the problem, but everybody else was the problem, even though I had like 50 friends who like came in and out of my life and it just never stuck in like a span of a year. That can't be them. Like it has to be me. And that's something I'm realizing. If you constantly see everybody around you saying the same thing to you and you're just kind of ignoring it, it's probably a you problem. And I think that's a hard thing for people to accept. I have only accepted that recently and I'm 21. Like I spent my entire life thinking that everybody else on earth was wrong. Why did I believe this? I think it's just because I had a really positive upbringing, like in the way that I was spoken to. Like my family was very, very, very positive. Like you're so talented, you can do whatever you set your mind to. When you have only like super positive talk coming from like your family members, I think it tends to sometimes make you think that you're better than you are. And you don't always listen to people on the outside because it's like, oh, everybody close to me is saying that I'm awesome. And so why would I listen to these haters on the outside who are saying that I'm not awesome? It can be fine in some ways. And I think that blocking out the haters or whatever is like essential sometimes. But in a lot of ways, I think that listening to people's criticism can be life-changing. And I spent my entire life listening to what the positive people in my life were saying and how my friends and family were complimenting me, but I never stopped to think about what negative people were saying because I just thought that they were wrong. And again, I thought that I was better than them and I was smarter than them and I knew what I was doing and they just didn't see it yet. And everybody in the world admired me, but these people over here, they don't get it. And it really hindered me. Like, I didn't improve in a lot of ways because I didn't listen to criticism. And this is a huge thing that I want you guys to know. If you want to be a singer, for example, and you do a talent show and everybody tells you you're a bad singer, like you lose the talent show, if that's a thing, I don't know if that's a thing. People leave hate comments on your YouTube videos where you're singing. Your mom tells you you're a bad singer or something like that. If there's multiple people in a wide range of like places and ages and everything, just kind of giving you the same general response, like, hey, this is not really great. But then you have one positive person like your dad or something being like, no, sweetie, you're a great singer. Like, just keep trying. And you just listen to your dad and you just say, no, I'm a great singer. These people are wrong. You are never gonna become a good singer. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Now, don't get me wrong, there can definitely be times in life where everybody's telling you that you can't do something, but like then you really do it and you triumph and everybody was wrong. That definitely happens. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that you should just crush all your dreams and if everybody's telling you not to do something, you should not do it. I'm more just saying that you should at least listen to people's opinions and hear them out and then decide whether they're right or wrong. You definitely should not let people crush your spirit and like if people leave a negative comment, you just stop singing forever. What I'm saying is if you wanna be a singer and someone leaves a negative comment or a bunch of people leave negative comments, you try to become a better singer. If other good singers are like, no, you're amazing, don't listen to those people, you could just ignore the haters. But if other good singers are like, hey, maybe you should go get some vocal lessons, you should go get those vocal lessons. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know, I guess I'm just passionate about this topic because I spent so much of my life not improving. Like in graphic design, for example, I started teaching myself graphic design when I was younger, and every design that I would make, my family members would be like, oh, this is great, this is so good, I love this. And that's awesome, like they were being really nice and they thought it was good or whatever. But when I showed it to the first real designer that I showed it to, he was like, this is bad. And I thought he was so mean. Like I genuinely cried the first time I like showed a design to someone who was a real designer, who was older than me, and he said it was bad. It took me a long ass time to not get hurt by the fact that he thought it was bad. And I was unable to separate myself from this thing that I made. And I just heard like my family saying that all my designs were amazing. And I was like, no, I'm a great designer. But this one person who actually was a designer, like nobody in my family was a designer. They don't know anything about design. This one person who actually was a designer was telling me, hey, this is bad. And I was just like, you're mean. And it's embarrassing. Like it's embarrassing for me as a 15-year-old to be like putting these designs out into the world that really aren't that good or even really bad. Like one time I made a whole website for Cimarelli and it was just a really bad website. Like it was not good and you could barely read it. Like all the colors, it was like primary colors and it was red, yellow, and blue and they were all like neon. It wasn't even like different shades. Like it was intense. Looking back, I know it was bad, but at the time, I was like, this is the best thing ever because I showed it to my family and they were like, this is so good, I love it. And I didn't ask anybody else who knew what they were talking about. And so I didn't know that it was bad. And so I just put it out into the world, not knowing it was bad. And that can be harmful. And I think it was harmful at some points in my life. I definitely love myself for sure. I like my personality. I think I'm talented in some ways and I acknowledge my talent. But also, I acknowledge that I'm not as talented as maybe I used to think I was in a lot of ways, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to have this crazy self-image all the time. I grew up thinking that like, you should never ever be negative towards yourself and that like negativity is the same as criticism, or that like being bad at something means that you are like dumb and like you should never say that you're bad at something because that's like you insulting yourself. But like, you need to acknowledge those things. Like, I needed to acknowledge that I was bad at certain things to improve. And the more that I acknowledge that I'm not as good of a singer as maybe I thought I was, the better of a singer I'll become. And don't be in my comments being like, oh, Dani, you're so amazing. I know I'm a good singer. I'm just saying I'm not Mariah Carey. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. I hope that makes sense. Also, this is my merch. If you want it, the link is in my bio. It might be sold out, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I love you guys. Goodbye.
I guess that we're done, oh yeah, we're through. I've been selling skateboards, but he's building rockets to the moon. Ooh, I wish I was playing. He went to Notre Dame and I dropped out like a fool. Damn. He's so different, that's one sexy fucking joke.
All I want for Christmas all I want for Christmas is you. See? Not Mariah Carey.